So for the past 12 weeks, I've done the Artist Way course and book by Julia Cameron, and I've done 30-minute videos each week about my kind of lessons and learnings from each chapter. And I thought rather than people having to go through and watch 12 30-minute videos, which is obviously a lot of content and probably not that interesting to most people, maybe it will be more helpful for me to do a kind of honest review and share my takeaways from the 12 weeks in a shorter 5 to 10 minute video. I'm going to rip into it. There's going to be 5 main points here. And the first one is about the morning pages. So the morning pages is essentially a way for you to do like a daily dump of your thoughts and feelings by hand, ideally in a A4 notebook. She recommends doing 3 A4 pages per day. I prefer to do the smaller A5 ones, and obviously you just double the number of pages per day. The main thing I'm taking away from doing the morning pages is sometimes you'll feel like a genius. I know I felt amazing at times. You could probably see all the sticky tabs in here. For me, the blue ones are little poems or little anecdotes, and the orange ones are kind of philosophical ideas that I can dive into further down the line. And I suppose the one thing that I'll take away from doing the pages is to do them every day as frequently as possible. Obviously, there'll be days that you miss. That's completely fine. We're not all perfect. Some days you'll feel like a genius and things will be flowing and you'll feel great. You'll feel creative. And then other days it'll just be an absolute slug. It'll be struggle town and you will just seem foolish, words won't flow, and it'll just be awkward and clunky, and you'll try and take shortcuts and everything like that. And I suppose the main takeaway is not to beat yourself up about it, not to get too high in your own supply when you're feeling great, and not to get too low when things just aren't really moving or coming to light off from your brain to the actual page. So it's just, the idea is just to have a stream of consciousness, don't stop the pen moving. And that's probably something I only learned halfway through the 12 weeks is just to keep the pen moving. Don't stop. A lot of the times I'll get up and make a coffee or attend to other things around the house. But if you're new to this, I would recommend just do your best to just do nonstop writing the whole time. Try not to pause, because as soon as you pause, you're going to procrastinate and you're not going to come back and complete the pages. So that's the first foundational element of the book. People that haven't even read the book are probably aware of morning pages. A lot of entrepreneurs and celebrities attest to doing the morning pages as their daily ritual. I would recommend doing that even if you're not intending to read the book. Try and do some sort of journaling every day and have it consistent. Have a sort of goal in terms of a page number. That's the first thing. The second foundational part of the book is the artist dates, and it's essentially a solo date for yourself to do something creative, ideally out of the house. Sometimes it can be at home, of course. The biggest lesson for me with the artist dates is to just explore and diversify. A lot of the times I rested on my laurels. I stayed at home, just read books and watched a movie on the couch. And again, you can get distracted so easily when you're just in your comfort zone. So I would recommend trying to leave the house more often than not. I know for me, I'm an introvert. I don't really like going out to public places too much. But the times that I did do that, I felt the greatest sense of reward and creativity, and I just felt more inspired when I did that. And in particular, the days that I went out for my artist dates where I didn't really have a specific plan, it was kind of the days where I was just going for a stroll in the botanical gardens, or I was going on a photo walk in the city where I didn't have a precise plan or checklist of things to do. Those were the days where I had the most revelation in a sense, in terms of where my creative sparks would start flowing more easily. There were a few times where I went to the city and went to places like the museum and art gallery, and it felt almost forced. Maybe that was just me picking a bad date to do, but my main point here is try and do something a little bit different, rotate the activities and get outside of your comfort zone a little bit, not too much, you don't have to go crazy, but try and diversify and don't try to repeat them too frequently, because once you have 5 or 10 different ones under your belt, you can kind of sense what you like more. I know for me, starting the course, I didn't really have a sense of what I liked to do by myself as a creative sort of date or just a solo date in general. So it's about testing the waters and trying different things. That would be my biggest advice. And again, if you're not looking to read the book entirely, do the pages and book yourself in a weekly artist date, usually around 2 to 3 hours, and make it a specific time in your calendar so you can't avoid it and you know that you're prioritizing some sort of solo self-care time. So those are the two main things that you kind of must do whether you're doing the book or not. But I wanted to share a couple of other takeaways that I learned along the way of doing the course that aren't really like daily activities. They're kind of just mindset changes and shifts to consider. So the first one ties into the artist date, which is about self-care and self-compassion. And in particular, in regards to your inner artist and treating the artist within with grace and with gratitude and just kindness. It sounds a bit corny and cliche, but it's kind of true. I spent most of my 20s and 30s kind of neglecting that and taking my life really seriously and trying to run businesses and things. And I forgot to treat myself and have fun as an artist. So a couple of the main points here I want to make are reminding yourself of small positive affirmations about why you should be a creative person and why you deserve to do creative acts, as well as like buying little things like luxuries. She mentions it a few times in the book, and it's something I hadn't really done. Spend money on yourself. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money, but buy little things, buy candles, buy plants, buy little things that inspire you, just to make your inner artist kind of smile and happy and be intrigued and just interested in the place around you. And that kind of ties into nurturing your environment. This room here that I'm in didn't look like this 12 weeks ago. It was kind of bare and barren. I never really put any money or time or energy into making it a nice kind of nurturing place. And since reading the book, that's something that I've implemented a lot and will carry forward with whatever I do. I've added plants, I've added lights, I've added artwork to the walls. And since doing those things, it's made a huge difference in terms of just how I view myself as a creative person. So make sure you're nurturing yourself and nurturing your environment. That would be the third takeaway. And following on from that, the fourth point is more about trusting the process and not really worrying about the outcome. For myself, I'm very strategic and systems driven, and I get caught in my head a lot and trying to be productive all the time. And there's really not much room for that in terms of doing creative works. One of the main things that I've taken away and will carry forward is trusting the process, being playful, allowing yourself to be foolish, allowing yourself to be a beginner, and kind of just shifting your mindset to just having more playfulness and freedom with the things that you're doing. I know that can sound kind of vague, but it's kind of about removing your intentions and expectations a lot of the time. And it's something that's really helped me a lot kind of grapple with the problems that I was having and the creative blocks prior to doing the course. In particular, just allowing the creative act to unfold on its own. A lot of the times when I start things, I have a huge master plan. And obviously, as soon as things get started, you have to pivot and change. And the creative process and the creative art form itself can kind of take a mind of its own and take you in weird directions that are generally for the best. So allow yourself to relax, surrender a bit more, and just allow the creative work to kind of flow naturally, and it can kind of guide you in a sense. That's the fourth point. And the final point really is about the book itself, the chapters and the tasks. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I don't think everyone should or really needs to read the whole book and do the task. I would recommend getting the book if you're really interested and really kind of struggling. I enjoyed reading the chapters. They're quite short. You can probably bang them out in 10 to 15 minutes. But one of the biggest criticisms I have are the actual tasks themselves. I probably did 10% of them, if that, and there was only a small handful over the course of the 12 weeks that I really enjoyed doing or found much benefit from. So it can be a bit of a contrarian, but I have seen a lot of people that just love doing the task on YouTube and on Reddit. But for me, they didn't really gel or vibe with what I was trying to achieve from the course. So basically, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the book if I'm going to be quite honest. I would recommend for sure doing the morning pages and the artist dates, and maybe even just downloading some clip notes or watching a few other videos to get a few ideas of what to expect. But really, the book was great, but the tasks were not great, if that makes a lot of sense. So that's my honest opinion. I think the book's maybe $30 or $40. If you can find it secondhand, it might be worthwhile, but I wouldn't necessarily go ahead and recommend the tasks. I would recommend definitely doing the morning pages daily and the artist dates, and even just documenting them, whether for yourself or for online, like I have with the weekly check-ins, so you can reflect on them, and maybe you can go back over them in 12 months time to see how much of a shift it's made in your creative process. So I hope that helps. That's just my honest thoughts and feelings towards the book. I appreciate you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And for anyone doing the course, I wish you all the luck with getting through your creative blocks. See you next time.